Yes, you are listening to the Ready, Set, Retire radio podcast with Steve Anzoni. My name is Jessica Forkel. Get more details on the website at fairwayfinancial.net. A lot's coming up on today's show. Of course, we're going to talk a little bit about some end-of-year planning, and a lot of folks wondering what direction is the market going to take under a new presidency. We're going to dive into that and much more. But as always, Steve, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Getting ready for the big day.
That's right.
Still got pretty much everything I need to shop for. So
nice. Yeah, your shopping is done. You've got your list and checked it twice.
No, it's not. I still have all that to do. So.
Oh, my gosh, you still have shopping to do, man. You better get on it.
Well, I've been a little disabled here with the knee surgery.
That's true. Yeah, listen, Amazon comes right to your door. That's
all right, fine. You got me. Can I tell you?
Yes, you did have knee surgery a little while ago, but you're on the mend, which is wonderful to hear. And, like everybody out there, you're working hard until the very end of the year here and looking forward to spending time with family and friends. And I know one of the things that, that you're working on right now as we are here in mid-December is a lot of folks coming in, tying up some loose ends for some end-of-year planning. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I just had someone come in, and he's retiring in January. So we were talking about the idea of using his 401k as an income source, which a lot of people make the mistake of assuming that the 401k is a source of guaranteed income, which, of course, it isn't. It's an investment that has done very well. Listen, don't get me wrong. I've been very happy the last few years, and everyone has. But ultimately, it's all about replacing the paycheck. So we had a great conversation about that, and we did a little bit of work with moving some of the monies into positions where he can create this guaranteed lifetime income. And he was very thrilled about it. And there's a lot of people calling in with questions. That's why, by the way, this week we just had our fun annual Christmas event at the office, and that was a blast. Mm-hmm. And I did a little throwback, Jess. I did a little from the Santa Claus. I brought in Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
I love that.
And Toss Across. And
I
got to tell you, it was awesome.
It was a
hit. Blast. It was a huge hit. Yeah, it was super. And I was inspired, obviously, by the movie, which I had just watched 2 days before the party. And I'm thinking, why can't I do that? So we got a few games in here, and we had a blast. And, of course, I have the putting and everything else that I do, of course, being fairway. And so, it was a good time. We had a big crowd, and we're very lucky. We really do have great clients, and we appreciate everyone who was able to make it, and can't wait for next year's bash.
Yeah, very cool. We're seeing stock market predictions for 2025 coming in, and breaking news, folks. They don't all agree. Morgan Stanley believes that the S&P 500 is going to go up 11% with an outside chance of 30%. Then you have Goldman Sachs. They're encouraging folks to pull back on risk and diversify. So, Steve, with all these different opinions and ideas, how do we cut through the noise and make the decision that's best for us?
It's almost impossible to cut through these noise. I mean, these guys have to earn their paychecks, right? So they got to go out there and wear the nice suits and the ties and say what they got to say about, we got to predict the market's up or down or whatever. And the truth is, nobody has a clue. I have no clue what's going to happen in the future. It doesn't matter. People think, well, Trump's going to be in, good for the market and all this. Well, to be fair, President Biden was in the market and it did okay, right? I mean, we have to be fair on that. The market is its own measuring stick.
Right. I was just going to say, you can't tie it directly to any president. Yeah.
I mean, you look at the economy and that's one thing. And the market is measured by basically corporate profits. And COVID did a number on all of us, not only health-wise, but financially. It really just put us all in a tough spot because, everything went up, right? Food prices, gas, everything. And so these companies, they just rolled with it and they just increased all the prices. I mean, it didn't affect them. As a matter of fact, a lot of companies made out pretty well here the last few years with the hikes and everything else. I mean, the people who bared the most burden, of course, was the middle class. And, that's always the case. But these companies showed strong earnings, at least a good portion of them. And you got to understand, if you look at the S&P 500, there's 500 companies. Only a handful supported this unbelievable gain for this year. So you got to understand that's one reason why you diversify, right? You buy the S&P 500, you're literally buying 500 companies. And of those 500, Jess, I think only 6 or 7, something like that, actually had a phenomenal year. And the other ones were basically, okay. But that just shows you that just diversifying helps rise, right? Helps rise all levels, right? Raise all ships, as they say. So that's what happened this year. But hey, I'll take it. I think most people look at their 401ks today and are thrilled. I'm happy about that. And my grandkids' count went up too. So I'm happy about that. His college education fund. So the economy's different. The stock market's its own beast and performs its own way. So what people really need to focus on is how much are they saving? Where is it being saved? And how much can they realistically expect for income from their retirement account? I mean, This is what people have to back up and understand, is that most of us in this country do not have a pension anymore. And we have to basically make our own pension by taking systematic withdrawals, if you will, from our 401ks. The problem is it's all guesswork. And if you're too aggressive, you can run out of money too soon. And that's a very bad thing. And if you're too conservative, then you might not be able to retire. So it's a very complicated situation that involves working with someone who does this for a living and can help people sort through this and say, look, there's more than one way to produce cash flow. And there are products that are designed specifically to give people guaranteed cash flow, guaranteed income, similar to Social Security, which is the last bastion of a pension, I guess, these days. And so people need to look at that. Like this gentleman I just spoke of, he just came in, and he wasn't even aware that he could make a move on his 401k before he retired and roll over a piece of it into one of those plans. And because of his age, the payout rate, okay, this is the guaranteed income rate, was 8.5%, Jess. 8.5%.
Wow, that's huge.
I mean, that's nuts, right? And he looked at it, he goes, really? And I laughed because, I mean, I get this reaction a lot. I go, yeah. I go, why? They didn't tell you that at work, huh? He goes, I never heard of this. I said, yeah, well, it's too bad. I go, that's why I do my show. That's why I do my workshops. My job is to get the message out there, and I wrote a book about it. And people need to be aware that there are options, and they shouldn't put all their eggs in one basket. And by default, most of America has all their eggs in one basket. It is the 401k, but it is the most convenient basket while you're working. I get it. I understand. I've done the same thing throughout the years. We all have. But when you get close to retirement, you need to take a look at other options out there and what can you do to replace your working paycheck. If you're one of those who are out there, and there's many of you who are asking that question, how can I replace my paycheck and make sure it's there for my lifetime? Give me a call, and I will be happy to discuss options, show you how it works, give you a ledger that will literally show you what your paycheck will be, in what year you retire, all this stuff you can have at your fingertips today. So if you're one of the hundreds out there who are having this concern, give me a call, all right? And we'll look at your situation, and we'll call it a portfolio review, and to see, if we can add some income planning to what you've done, right? Because what you've done so far has been saving money for the future, right? It's not necessarily a retirement income plan, right? It's just saving money for the future. So why not? Let's get some numbers, right? Let's see what you can produce for income so you could see on paper, hey, I'm there. I can retire now, or I need another 2 or 3 years.
Year after year, the studies show the number one fear that people have when it comes to preparing for retirement is, of course, running out of money. A new Morningstar study backs that up. It found that if you retire before the age of 65, you have a 45% chance of outliving your savings. The number one reason they cite is the elimination of the pension. So if guaranteed lifetime income doesn't come from your employer, Steve, can you talk about that and I guess the rationale of building your own personal pension?
Yes, Jess, I can.
All right, tell me all about it.
And I have for 35 years. I've been talking about this.
You have been for
Yes,
decades.
I'm very passionate about it because, again, the key word is income and, of course, the elimination of pensions. So how can we, as a consumer, build our own personal pension? Well, you use these products called annuities, which ironically are what pensions were built on and basically what a Social Security check is. And you create your own cash flow. It's really awesome when you can take a piece of what you work so hard for, which is your 401k money, and put it to work and say, okay, I want this piece of money to produce X number of dollars, not only for myself, but if I'm not here, my spouse. And so that's the key, is that you can design these to be a joint and survivorship pension check, and they'll pay forever, even if the original deposit you put in goes to zero, Jess. Okay. And I just had someone come in and I showed him this. And he's like, well, how can they give the check when the money's not there anymore? And I said, well, that's the fiduciary obligation of the insurance company putting their money where their mouth is and guaranteeing you a check forever. So that's the risk that they take for you. So he was like, wow, this is really awesome. He was really impressed by that. But a lot of people don't know how these work. And they get, unfortunately, misinformation from people who also don't know how they work, but have an opinion about it. And there's a lot of that going around these days. But what you want is you want to deal with someone who knows what they're talking about, who's been around the block and has the experience, and the companies, who's independent, who's representing your best interests and not theirs, okay, who can literally show you all the best companies that are out there in the state that you're in. Obviously, I'm in Massachusetts, and help you plan as best as possible for your future income. That's what it's about, to say, look, the first thing people do, ironically, right, is they look at their Social Security, right, Jess? And they go to the Social Security place, say, okay, how much is my check? How much is my income? Well, why don't you do that with your 401k? I mean, doesn't that make sense? I mean, you're already doing it, and you're finding out that, okay, between the two of us, we're going to be able to get $5,000 a month. And that's great. But now we need $10,000 a month, let's say. Well, where are you going to get the other five from? You just going to guess? You're going to pull it out of the pile? Why not eliminate the guesswork and take a piece of that pile and make sure the check's going to be there? I mean, that's the whole point of trying to retire, is to have enough cash flow and enough income to be able to do that. So yes, I'm very crazy passionate about it, because that's what people need, is more guarantees in their lifetime, especially when it comes to checks, so they can get retired, stay retired, and if they want to work part-time, more power to you. Go, keep busy. That's the key. Keep busy. Don't rest, because if you rest, you rust. You want to move. Keep busy, right?
Yeah, you want to move. And here's the deal. You also want to move and be proactive with your retirement and your income plan. I mean, as this, question just put out there, I mean, the number one fear is running out of money. So how do you combat that? Well, you start putting a plan together with Steve, and you say, hey, look, have I done enough? What do I need to do? Are there any gaps? Have I made mistakes? And Steve, this is something that you deal with each and every single day.
This is what I do. I mean, I love this. I wrote a book about it. Okay, it's called Tee Up Your Retirement. There's a surprise, right? But it talks about all the layers of when you go to retire, right? The Social Security piece, the IRA piece, the 401k piece, all these pieces, and how they can fit together in a plan to help you with cash flow now and in the future. And that's what you need to plan on, is not just, hey, I've got $750,000 in my 401k. I should be okay. Really? What is that? Like, you don't want to retire on maybe. That's just not a good way to go. You want to know, hey, I'm going to have X number of dollars, and no matter what happens in the economy, the market, whatever, this check's going to be there for me. That's what you want to know. That's called retirement income planning, not here's my lump sum 401k and I'm going to take a shot at it.
Now, if you are getting close to retirement and maybe you have a big balance in your 401k, something you may want to consider is paying taxes now. You can do that a little bit at a time and moving the money to what they call a Roth. CNBC's Sharon Epperson says that a lot of folks are utilizing this strategy.
Roth conversion saw a 46% increase year over year in the second quarter of 2024, according to Fidelity. Shifting money from a pre-tax IRA or 401k to a Roth IRA can lower taxable income in retirement and provide tax-free growth.
Yeah, I mean, Roths have been extremely popular the last few years, especially since the Trump Tax Act took effect in 2017, which lowered most people's brackets and made for a interesting transition into Roth conversions. And so basically all that is taking deferred money now and pulling out a piece of it. Most people don't do all of it, but taking a piece, say $50,000, and converting it to a Roth. And when you do that, the $50,000 is reportable in the year that you do it. So there's the downside, I guess, of it. So you have to report that extra 50. So what I think you need to have is a pile of money in the bank to pay those additional taxes. Do not pay those additional taxes from the rollover money because you're going to defeat the whole purpose of doing it. So if you don't have the sufficient funds to do that, then I would suggest to not do it. But if you do, then I would talk to your CPA, look at the tax implications, and if you don't mind paying a little bit of tax now for total tax freedom in the future and disinheriting the IRS. God, do I love to say that. And it's true. I mean, you get to keep this money. It grows tax-free, not deferred. So all the money you roll over, all the interest it earns in the future is all tax-free. It's awesome. But there's a price you pay. But, there's a price you pay for everything in life. The question is, do you have the sufficient funds to pay those taxes? And do you feel it's worth it long term, which most people do? So there's a lot of thought that goes into it, obviously, Jess, but that's what I'm here for, is to help you run some scenarios, okay? And I've done this for lots of people. They've come in, they say, hey, Steve, I heard your show, or, I heard something from, one of the big investment houses that it's a good idea. Is it, Steve? And the answer is not a yes or no. It depends on your situation. So we will talk specifically about your situation and where you're at income-wise, where you're at tax bracket-wise, and we'll see if it makes sense. So, again, the number's 508-552-3230. And it's a great question, and you should get some answers on it, because if you're eligible and you don't do it, boy, you're going to look back and say, oh, why didn't I do it? You are. You don't want to be in that scenario. So be proactive and just find out, what's it going to cost you? 5 minutes of phone call, maybe a half an hour chatting with me. Mm-hmm. It'll be worth it. You'll get an education on what it is and how it works.
Get more details on the website fairwayfinancial.net. That's fairwayfinancial.net.
Steve Anzoni is a licensed insurance provider by the Division of Insurance and is not registered as an investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve Anzoni, Massachusetts Insurance License 3851053. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Steve Anzoni is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Steve Anzoni is licensed in your state, please call 508-398-3337.